guys, ready to start off 2024 with an ARC review as promised in my winter anticipated reads video, starting off strong with Getting One Done. And I was really excited for this book because this is the new book by Lauren Kung Jessen called Red String Theory. Now, if that author's name sounds familiar, it might be because last year I reviewed Lauren Kung Jessen's book, Lunar Love, and I absolutely adored it. It was so emotional, it was so good, it was just really one of those books that pulled at my heartstrings, and I talk about that in the video. There may have been some personal reasons for that, but I just felt like it was really well done and really good. These books are also clean romances in the sense that there is no on-screen stuff, and for that matter, the characters really don't get together until right at the end of the book. So these are also, I think, good books for people who love that push and pull, the slow burn, and that's what they really want out of a romance book, and not necessarily the, they get together and then things happen. And I do appreciate that these books also take that route as well, which again, I think adds to the way that they build up the emotionality. So this is the story of Rooney, and she is the daughter of a very famous artist, and her mom is a performance artist. And so Rooney has been around that her entire life, and she decided that she wanted to become an artist herself, but she does so under anonymity. She calls herself Red String Girl, and she focuses on making installations. She prefers big public ones, but she also does pet string portraits under the name Red String Girl. She is still trying to make her mark on the art world, and her mother is always saying, "I can help you," and Rooney says, "Please, no," because she wants to try to make it on her own. So the novel opens with Rooney opening a big public string art installation in Central Park in New York City called Entanglement. This is because Rooney is a big believer in something called the red string of fate. This is basically a idea or belief system that says that everyone in the world has a string mate, and that fate is real and it kind of controls our life. And you just have to believe that fate is kind of leading you along toward your string mate, and everything is gonna happen for a reason. The night that Entangled goes up, it also comes down. People start hanging their laundry on it and littering on it. And so what is supposed to be this amazing night for Rooney turns into one of her bitterest disappointments. Her art installation doesn't even make it 24 hours. And in her gloom, she heads off to a party she really doesn't want to be at, where she meets Jack. Jack is a systems engineer at NASA who has for the third time that day been passed over for a promotion, so he's not in his best mood either. And he and Rooney meet. Coincidentally, they're paired at this party after having had a run-in at the print shop earlier where their printing orders were mixed up. And so by this point, Rooney is thinking, I think there's some fate going on, and Jack is thinking, wow, that's a series of coincidences, because he runs his life by science and math, and things like fate, no, you make choices in your life. Rooney and Jack decide to throw all caution to the wind and follow the paper lantern that they launch in honor of the Lunar New Year and just see where it takes them. And for Rooney, this is a moment where she's trying to get back some of what she lost when her art installation came down. And for Jack, it's doing something completely against his type and saying, yeah, I'll follow the lantern. The night is magical and wonderful. At the end of it, they kiss. They do exchange numbers, but Jack lives in California and Rooney lives in New York City, so they don't really think anything can happen there. Rooney goes to text him after they part and realizes that she has the wrong number. And so what could have been a magical moment of fate or coincidence turns to dust. Cut to a number of months later, and Jack is at the NASA headquarters in California where he works, and they are restarting their Artist in Residence program. And Jack has decided to volunteer for this program because he is trying to show that he is a team player to get that still elusive promotion. And he recommends Red String Girl, whose showcase Entanglement he saw briefly before they took it down. He has no idea that Rooney is Red String Girl, and you can see what is about to happen. Jack is chosen to lead this new artist initiative. Rooney is chosen to be the artist in residence at NASA, and these two are thrown back together to make doe eyes at each other and also have more arguing about whether fate is real or not. Coincidence is a thing, or is fate? Do we make choices, or is everything fated? There's a lot of that in this book. I think this is a really cute book. I think it's an adorable book, to be honest. Rooney and Jack are two people who have tried to make the best out of what life has given them and reacted to that in very different ways. And they're the kind of couple that confuses each other as much as kind of, you know, bending and weaving and kind of going along with how the other person wants to go about life, you know, changes up their norm. And they decide that they want to have a science experiment to see if fate is real by coming up with these tests. And it's just a lot of conversation about, is fate real? Is everything fated? Do we make choices? How much choice do we have in our fate? It's like a whole thing. And as much as I found Jack and Rooney's relationship to be very adorable, I also just found the conversation to be a bit much. And I kind of felt like either the little field trips they were going on for NASA or their attempts to test fate ended up being like these little side quests or things that just kind of like happened, and it led to more conversation about, is it fate or is it not? Is fate real, etc. And I really wanted this book to just do a little bit more showing than telling, because it wasn't even like something would happen and then, you know, they would kind of have a cute conversation about it and it would be up to the reader to decide, was that coincidence? Was it fate? It's just like the small thing happens and then a really long conversation is had by Jack and Rooney about what is what. And it also does happen between some other characters as well. Rooney is trying to figure out a way forward with her relationship with her mom. Jack has a weird relationship with his parents and is much closer to his grandfather. And so there are like some family things going on, which I really appreciate in any romance novel. But again, it's mostly just like go to these characters to have conversations about life. And there ends up being so much dialogue in this book. And I was like, yikes, that is a lot. The dialogue kind of got to the point where I was like, are Jack and Rooney actually gonna end up together? Like, obviously it's a romance novel and you know certain things kind of have to happen. But at a certain point, they both seemed so entrenched in their opposite beliefs about fate or coincidence and, you know, choice, whatever you want to call it, that I was just like, how can these people come to kind of like a middle? And I think the book mostly works that out in the end. But again, there's like so much, it's not argument, it's really just like debate or just like, you know, philosophizing, I guess. But there was just so much of it. I was just like, these guys have really thought about this, or they're really like standing firm for their side in this debate. And like, are they really ever gonna make it together? Like, how is this gonna work? I suppose you could consider that an element of like tension in the book where there really isn't otherwise that much going on. But for me, I was just kind of like, ugh. You always want to feel in a romance novel like those characters are meant to be together, whether it is fate or choice. And it kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, you've had a lot of conversation about this and I'm not sure anyone is budging. How is this gonna work? Again, this book is really cute. It's adorable. It has those kind of side elements of Jack learning how to be a team player and Rooney healing this relationship with her mom. So there is that kind of stuff going on. But again, it's, I think, a little bit of a different flavor of a romance novel where a lot of the book is propelled via dialogue. There aren't as many things that happen. There are small moments that kind of instigate conversations rather than these things that happen and kind of move the book along. For example, the fate tests are just kind of random things that they go and do. There are these little NASA field trips they go on. There are outings with Jack's team to like do team building stuff that are like some random things. So the kind of doing in the book felt almost inconsequential to the conversation. And I don't know that that was necessarily the flavor of book that I want right now. And so I think that it's important, maybe if you knew that going into it, that it would be more of a like talking and thinking book as opposed to a funny, silly, action-oriented romance novel. And again, I don't mean action isn't like, you know, guns a-blazing. I just mean like things are happening, the plot is rolling. This is a much, much slower paced thinking romance novel. If you loved Lunar Love, I think that you will really enjoy this one. I'm not sure that Red String Theory pulled off the more like emotional bent with the philosophical edge as well as Lunar Love, but they're still very cute, very sweet, very emotional. And if the thing that you're feeling right now is a slower paced, more dialogue based romance that is clean with a slow burn, again, this is exactly the book for you. It's just something that I think it's important to know before you go into it so that you can enjoy the book for what it is and not wait for something to happen in the plot that's not really going to be there. I'm very excited to read whatever Lauren Kung Jessen writes after this. Again, however they go, however they roll, they're very emotional and very sweet, and I do love that. This is an ARC review, so this book is not quite yet out, but it will be very soon. So thank you to the publisher and Edelweiss for my ARC, and you can check this out from your local library or your local bookstore, however it is you get your books, as soon as tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Bye.